The House will please come to order. The House will please come to order. It is my honor to call the House to order today for the purpose of hosting the joint convention between the Ohio General Assembly for the Governor's State of the State address. Pursuant to tradition, I welcome the President of the Ohio Senate, Matt Huffman, to preside during this joint convention. Senator Huffman.
I call this joint convention of the General Assembly to order. Is there a quorum of the Senate present? The chair recognizes the President Pro Tem, Senator Hottinger.
Mr. President, a quorum of the Senate is present.
Is there a quorum of the House present? The chair recognizes the Speaker Pro Tem, Representative Ginner.
Mr. President, a quorum of the House is present.
Good. We invite our guests to please rise as we open with prayer. We will be led in prayer today by Bishop Bogdan Danilo from the Ukrainian Eparchy of St. Josephite. After the prayer, please remain standing for the presentation of the colors by the Ohio State Patrol and the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag and the Republic. Bishop.
Will you bow your heads as we join as one in prayer? Dear, wise and loving Father, first let me say thank you on behalf of all of us who are gathered here today. Thank you for your many and abundant blessings. Thank you for the life itself, for the measure of health we need to fulfill our calling, for sustenance, and for our friendship. Thank you for the ability to be involved in a state of Ohio work and for the honor of bearing that responsibility. Thank you as well for the freedom to embrace the freedom or reject it. Thank you for the loving us. We pray for our governor, for our Ohio State and House of Representatives, and in particular, I am asking you that you graciously grant them wisdom to govern amidst the conflict of interest and issue of our time, a sense of welfare and a true need of the people we serve, a need thirst for justice and righteousness, confidence in what is good and fitting, the ability to work together in harmony even when there is an honest disagreement, personal peace in our lives, and joy. Further, Creator God, I pray for peace in Ukraine, that aggression cease. For that I pray. For all humanity destroyed by war, for all the lives lost, homes seized, and peace broken. May the spirit of comfort and compassion envelop all those who dwell in fear. May the spirit of wisdom and humility give strength to all the leaders of the world. May we affirm the dignity and right of all, and may we seek peace. For this I pray, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. post to colors. Ladies and gentlemen, the Governor of the State of Ohio, Mike DeWine. Gentlemen, Governor Mike DeWine.
Thank you very much. Before I begin, on behalf of the people of the state of Ohio and all who love freedom, I say in salute, glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. Speaker Cupp, President Huffman, Leader Russo, Leader Yuko, members of the General Assembly, and justices of the Supreme Court, elected state officials, Lieutenant Governor Houston, my fellow citizens of Ohio. The state of our amazing state is strong. Ohio is strong. I am so grateful and happy to be back here today with all of you in this historic chamber. The first time all three branches of government have gathered together in 3 years. So it's truly, truly a great day. And I want to thank all of you for yesterday honoring our friend, our former colleague, former Speaker of the House, Bill Batchelder. At this time, I would like to invite Judge Batchelder and her family to come to the well. Joining Judge Batchelder Joining Judge Batchelder are her son Bill, wife Shayla, daughter Elizabeth, husband Matthew, grandchildren Sophie, Ailey, William, James, Eleanor, Matthew, Bethany, and Mary Ruth. Thank you for joining us. Judge, thank you so very much for being here today and bringing your children and your grandchildren. It's a special moment for all of us, frankly, and I hope it's a special moment for you and your children and grandchildren to stand in this chamber, in this well of the chamber of the body that he loved so very, very, very much. In Bill Batchelder's words, truly, the people's house. Speaker Batchelder was, as we all know, an amazing man. He never forgot his roots, loved Medina County, loved Ohio. And long before he was Speaker, when I first knew him, he was the go-to person whenever a member had a tough legislative challenge. And there has been more than one governor of both political parties who has called on Bill Batchelder for his help when faced with a very, very difficult problem. In his farewell address to the legislature, the Speaker reminded us that, and I quote, "It is the ultimate responsibility of all of us to keep our republic, and that we all must stand strong to protect it." And so today, our friend's words remind us of our obligation as public servants and our duty to the people we were elected to serve. To the Batchelder family, we're honored to pay tribute today to Speaker Batchelder, our friend and a man we love very much. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here. A lovely service yesterday, and we are so great to see all of you. The Speaker's legacy right here. Thank you. Mr. Speaker, Mr. President, members of the General Assembly, please sit down. While I'm sure it won't come as a shock for me to say that no governor and General Assembly agree on everything, there are core truths and fundamental values that we all share. What unites us is so much stronger than what divides us. And I know that we are solidly united in our deep love for Ohio and our belief that every Ohioan deserves the chance to succeed, no matter where their zip code, no matter if they live in Appalachia, in our cities, our suburbs, no matter who their parents are. They deserve the chance to get a good paying job, to raise a family comfortably, to be secure in their future, and to live their version of the American dream. Mr. Speaker, members of the General Assembly, Mr. President, thank you. Thank you for believing in the future of our state and for investing in the things that will build a firm foundation that can lift all Ohioans. In my previous State of the State address, I asked you and I asked the people of Ohio to Invest in things where the returns will not all be immediate. And I said, in many cases, we will not see results during this administration or even in our lifetimes. Yet, we still must act. And act you did. Together, we have invested in the people of our great state. My friends, I want to start by talking about some of the significant investments that you have made, that we've all made. And then I want to talk about the work that remains to be done. Let's first talk about what we've done for our children, for they are our future. With your support, we're right now helping Ohio's youngest, most vulnerable children get the best possible start in life by doubling our investment in Ohio's voluntary home visiting programs, where trained professionals meet regularly with new and expected moms and dads to teach valuable parenting skills. We're making important investments in similar services so that fewer Ohioan babies are born exposed to opiates. We're working so that children do not grow up with lifelong brain damage from toxic lead paint that's peeling from their walls. Together, we are ensuring that more at-risk pregnant moms will have a roof over their heads, because inadequate housing is a huge risk factor for infant and maternal mortality. And we've worked to protect those who cannot protect themselves, the unborn. By increasing eligibility levels and access to quality child care, we're empowering thousands more families to take on full-time, full-year employment, promotions, higher wage jobs. And we've taken together significant steps to change our child welfare system so that the health and safety of the child always comes first. Because of your support, we have enabled thousands of Ohio seniors to stay in their own homes longer. And we've helped those with disabilities to gain fulfilling employment and live more independently. In the last 2 years, we've all realized that when you need health care and behavioral health services, a virtual visit can save time, can save money, and so we've eased restrictions on telehealth services to expand access to care. In December, I signed your House Bill 122, sponsored by Representatives Frazier and Holmes and Senators Huffman and Antonio, to expand insurance coverage of telehealth. And I'm pleased to say that this new law takes effect today. We are blessed in Ohio with an abundance of water, and we are the stewards of this precious resource. And together, we've taken unprecedented steps to preserve that water and make it accessible to all Ohioans. We are now, with your help, in the fourth year of H2 Ohio. The visionary plan to rid Lake Erie of toxic algae blooms, which threaten the drinking water of nearly 3 million of our citizens. And we've repaired and replaced decades-old lead water pipes, and we have more to go. Now, with the placement of new lines that never existed before, there are parts of Ohio where, for the very first time, citizens will not have to travel miles just to get clean drinking water. Together, we're investing in our neighborhoods to demolish dangerous, decaying, unsightly buildings and to clean up hazardous brownfield properties to spur economic development. And we're closing the digital divide with the goal that everyone in Ohio will have the necessary broadband services on which our citizens depend for everything, from homework to health care. And I want to now recognize Lieutenant Governor John Husted for spearheading this efforts. The Lieutenant Governor's worked diligently with all of you as we have invested significantly in career education in job training, workforce development, to help give every Ohioan an opportunity to get a satisfying and well-paying job. And we'll be working with you in the near future to provide additional help to our career centers, our community colleges, and our four-year universities to provide them advanced, high-tech equipment for even better training for the jobs of the future. With help from you and Jobs Ohio, we are positioning our state to become a global leader in science, technology, and medicine through the launching of 3 cutting-edge innovation districts in Cincinnati, Cleveland, and Columbus. Think of this. They're poised to produce 60,000 jobs over the next 10 years and generate billions of dollars in pioneering life-saving research and development. And while some people talk of defunding the police, we're doubling down on our support for law enforcement. We are doubling down. We're doubling down. We're doubling down our support for law enforcement by giving them more resources to keep the people of Ohio safe. Working together, we slashed state spending at the time of the pandemic by a whopping $1.2 billion. And we cut taxes by more than $3.6 billion. Creating Ohio's lowest taxes in more than 40 years. Leaving more money for businesses to reinvest in our economy and create jobs. And to put more money in the pockets of our fellow citizens. Now, I want you to think about this for a minute. Just think. To think we've done all these things, all of them, during a once-in-100 years pandemic. We did it together. Now, though we've had many shared successes, the past couple of years certainly have been difficult for all Ohioans. And we continue to pray for those who died from COVID, and we pray for their families. My fellow Ohioans, 2 years ago at this time, we began our battle against an invisible and a deadly enemy. My fellow citizens of Ohio, here in Ohio, you did what Ohioans have always done. You rallied together, you made extraordinary sacrifices, and you showed the world that Ohioans are resilient. We owe such a debt to our healthcare workers, our nurses, our doctors, our first responders, frontline workers, grocery store clerks, restaurant workers, local health department personnel, our teachers, all educators. And so many others, all of whom stepped up in countless ways over these past 2 years. This time I would like to ask our Ohio National Guard Adjutant General John Harris to stand. General. General Harris, on behalf of all Ohioans, we thank you. We thank you, and we thank the members of the Ohio National Guard for your tireless efforts during the pandemic and for all that you do every single day to help us and to protect us. Thank you. General. Our Guard members responded to every call when asked during the pandemic, from testing to vaccinations. They assisted with staffing at our nursing homes. And most recently, they worked in more than 64 hospitals and at 21 testing sites across Ohio, preventing a crisis in care during the recent Omicron surge. And members of our Guard also traveled to the southern border in Texas and the border in Arizona to help stop the influx of deadly fentanyl and other lethal drugs into our state and into our nation. So I want to thank them. Thank you, General, all the women and men that you have. Fran and I went to the southern border and talked with them. It was the most inspiring thing, one of the most inspiring things for our life, to talk to your men and women. Young, amazing, amazing people. I also want to thank not just first the military, men and women in our military, regular force, but also in law enforcement. I want to thank our firefighters who risk their lives every single day to protect us. And we must remember all the Ohioans who have made the ultimate sacrifice. So please join me now in a moment of silence for Marine Gunnery Sergeant James W. Speedy from Cambridge. He died Friday night during a NATO training exercise. We pray for him. We pray for his family. Thank you. Members of the General Assembly, this is Ohio's time. People are returning to the heartland. They're coming to Ohio because we have lower taxes, a strong business climate, and a good regulatory environment, made better recently by the enactment by you of Senate Bill 9, sponsored by Senators Rogner and McCauley. But you know, my friends, it's so much more than that. It's also about the great quality of life we have here in Ohio. No matter where you live in Ohio, you're within driving distance of amazing art, great theater, major league sports, and then there's education. We have 14 public universities, great universities, 74 amazing private colleges and universities, 23 community colleges, and a host of great career centers all over the state of Ohio. And we have a world-class state fair that is back this year. You know, there is simply no better place to raise a family than Ohio. Right, Fran? No place better. There's no better place to live. There's no better place to start or grow a business. And no better place that provides more opportunity than Ohio. What Wilbur Wright said 100 years ago is still true today. This is what he said. If I were giving a young person advice as to how they might succeed in life, I would say, pick out a good father and mother and begin life in Ohio. My friends, now is the time to seize our Ohio moment. Our economy is moving, Our state budget is on firm footing. Our bond rating is the highest it's been since 1979. Our unemployment rate is only 4.3%, near historic lows, and manufacturing is flourishing. Ohio has always been a great manufacturing state. But now we're bringing in the highest tech manufacturing known to man into the state of Ohio. And guess what? The world is taking notice. Just a few short weeks ago, we announced the single largest economic development investment by one company in the history of the state of Ohio. Intel Corporation will be investing $20 billion in Ohio, and that's just the first phase, to build two new state-of-the-art fabrication facilities to make semiconductor chips. Now, this will impact not just Central Ohio, but our entire state, as many of their suppliers will be moving to Ohio. To all of you, thank you. Thank you for helping make this deal a reality. It's a game changer for our state, and will have such positive economic ripple effects all across Ohio. Your support in this legislature of the mega projects legislation through House Bill 110 made a huge difference. A huge difference. I want to thank you for that. But Ohio's economic success is not just limited to Intel. New manufacturing companies are locating all over Ohio. They could have gone anywhere, but they chose Ohio. Just a few examples. Cleveland-Cliffs built an amazing state-of-the-art plant in Toledo. Sherwin-Williams is building a new research facility in Brecksville, and their new headquarters is going to be in downtown Cleveland. Leading aerospace company Sierra Nevada Corporation recently set up operations in the Miami Valley at the airport. And then there's Global Cooling in Athens County, Altium Cell in the Mahoning Valley, Nestle Purina in Claremont County, and so many, many, many more. My friends, Ohio has just taken off. And all of us in this chamber are building the environment, the climate in this state, where every Ohioan can have a better life, and where Ohio children can dream, and those dreams can really, really come true. But our work is not done. In many ways, our work is just beginning. Ohio will not rise to its highest level until we do even more than we already have in several very important areas. And I want to talk to you about those. Let's begin by talking about mental health. Now, I'm very proud of the work that we've started together. And we've done a lot in the area of mental health in the last 3 years. For example, we've started the reform of Medicaid. Out of our really shared commitment to multi-system kids through a program that we're calling Ohio Rise. Under Ohio Rise, children who have multiple medical and behavioral health challenges will now get the help that they need and get it in their own communities. Parents will no longer be forced to give up custody in order to get their children the help they need, and families under Ohio Rise will stay together. We've also worked to create a landmark program to address the mental and physical needs of children right in their own school buildings. For 2 budgets, you've supported this. We specifically focus dollars for schools across Ohio to provide for on-site medical clinics, additional counselors, mental health services, prevention after school care, family support such as English classes, access to health care, as well as new training and programming around childhood trauma and mental health for our most vulnerable children. We're helping struggling families get better access to addiction and mental health treatment so that their children don't end up in foster care. And we have more than doubled medication-assisted drug treatment capacity, the capacity across Ohio, and have dramatically increased crisis stabilization services. But despite our best efforts, it still is not enough. Mental illness remains on the rise in Ohio. Suicide is one of the top 10 causes of death for Ohioans aged 10 to 24, with the rate rising in rural Ohio and in communities of color. Accidental drug overdose deaths remain at record levels. The shared adversity of the COVID pandemic has worsened rates of depression, anxiety, addiction, and post-traumatic stress disorder. Access to care still remains elusive for far too many Ohioans. And over 40% of Ohio children have experienced one or more adverse childhood experiences, putting them at higher risk for lifelong health and mental health challenges. Now, to better understand how we got here, we have to go back in history a little bit. Let's go back 60 years to the Federal Community Mental Health Act of 1963, when hundreds of thousands of women and men with brain disorders were released from psychiatric hospitals, promised, as the then President John Kennedy said at the time, and I quote, they were promised that the cold mercy of custodial care would be replaced by the open warmth of community. Now, despite our good intentions, tragically, that promise was not kept, not nationally, nor here in Ohio. And that community system was never fully built. Ohio closed psychiatric hospitals, but without prevention or residential services in place, and without building full capacity outpatient care. Many Ohioans in need of support became homeless, languished in jail or in prison. And now every day in Ohio we have families in crisis. They need immediate help. Immediate help. Too often they have nowhere to turn, no idea where to go. So the loved ones suffer, and sometimes these individuals, our friends, our family members, die needlessly. We can change this. While we can never fully remedy the mistakes of the past, we can resolve to change the course of history moving forward by making help visible, accessible, and effective in all communities of the state of Ohio. We can do this by investing significantly more resources in the following. 1, we must grow our behavioral health workforce. 2, by increasing research and innovation. 3, by building a community capacity for care that offers better crisis response services and treatment, increased prevention efforts, and more residential and outpatient services. Seated in the gallery today, next to the First Lady, is my longtime friend, Terry Russell, and his wife, Retta, and their son, Luke. Terry leads Ohio's chapter of the National Alliance on Mental Illness. I have met no stronger advocate for those suffering from mental illness and their families, the real heroes, as Terry calls them. After 50 years of dedicated work, he will be retiring later this year. And I know that Terry shares my goal for Ohio to lead the world in behavioral health research, community care, and workforce development. My friends, Ohio can be the model for the country and the world. The future Ohio that I envision has the best, most robust behavioral health workforce in the country. A workforce that is hailed as heroic and valued as a vital part of our whole healthcare system. I see an Ohio with expanded residential and community-based outpatient treatment options, so fewer of our fellow citizens need to be institutionalized or placed in long-term hospital care. I see an Ohio that catches and treats mental health problems and addiction at the earliest onset to lessen the chances of lifelong challenges. And I see an Ohio where families get support in their own communities as well as at school, so that teachers can teach kids, kids can learn, parents can worry less, because all kids in the classroom benefit when every child has the support to be physically and mentally healthy and the opportunity to live up to their God-given potential. I see an Ohio that harnesses the innovative potential of our great research colleges and universities to conduct strategic cutting-edge research. I see an Ohio with fewer emergency room visits and where fewer Ohioans with mental illness are living on the streets. I see an Ohio where mental illness isn't criminalized, lessening pressure on the criminal justice system. In the Ohio I see, fewer families face the unimaginable grief of losing a son, daughter, brother or sister, or a parent to suicide or to an overdose. I see an Ohio where shame, fear, stigma, and embarrassment are erased. I see an Ohio where mental illness is treated as a health issue, not as a crime. And those who seek health are met with respect and treated with the dignity that they deserve. Now, realizing this vision will require us to take a giant step forward. But if we build on our successes and the work we've started together, we can truly bring about lasting change. My friends, the system isn't broken. It was just never fully built. And it doesn't exist everywhere in Ohio yet. And so we must build it. We must do the work that has never been done before. We must fulfill the promises made over 60 years ago, but that were never kept. And the bottom line is this: Ohioans with untreated addiction, mental illness, will remain underemployed and unemployed, and so much potential for people, for families, for the state will be lost if we look the other way. In the weeks ahead, I will be coming to you with specific proposals for how we finish this important work. Now, it won't happen overnight, and it will take a major long-term commitment from all of us. We can create the opportunity for people with mental illness or addiction to build the skills to lead joyful, meaningful lives. And if we do, it will result in reduced community costs, more people working, more people contributing to the vitality of their own communities. And my friends, we have the ability. We have the talent. We simply must have the will. Let me now talk about our state parks, our wildlife areas, our nature preserves and scenic rivers, which together really are the crown jewels of Ohio. We are blessed with a system of 75 and soon to be 76 state parks. With state parks that in Ohio, by the way, are free to go into. Many Ohioans discovered or rediscovered the state parks during the pandemic. From Maumee Bay to Geneva to Lake Hope to Great Seal, to Houston Woods, to John Bryan, our state parks add so much to our quality of life and make Ohio such a great place to live. Access to nature is a vital part of both physical and mental well-being, and our parks have something for everyone. The calming influence for those looking to relax, the adrenaline-pumping activity for those looking for a thrill, and everything in between. Thanks for your support and your investment. We are working to make these wondrous places even better and more accessible. Improvements are being made right now at our parks across the state. To the east, we're working on a master plan that will connect fantastic places such as the Wilds, the new amazing Appalachian Hills Wildlife Area that you purchased, Jesse Owens State Park, Burr Oak State Park, all together to create a one-of-a-kind adventure. I'm also excited about the development going south, Shawnee State Park. On the banks of the Ohio River, guests will be able to mountain bike, paddle, travel along one of the Imagination Library's storybook trails, and stay at a full-service campsite. Brand new experience down there. Soon, more people will be able to stay at the new lodge at Hocking Hills, Ohio's first new state lodge in more than 30 years. And our newest state park will be at Old Town in Greene County, honoring the heritage of the Shawnee tribe, Tecumseh, and the intersection of the Native Americans and the pioneers in the late 1700s. Members of the General Assembly, our dream is for Ohio to have the best state park system in the country. In the weeks and months ahead, I'll be asking you to reinvest in our magnificent state parks, as I know we share a commitment to preserving their natural beauty and the natural beauty that God has graciously bestowed upon Ohio. By continuing to invest in our parks, when visitors come, they will feel like family, and they will say, "This is Ohio." Now, developing and showcasing our state parks in Appalachia is just part of the larger renaissance happening in our Appalachian region. I want to talk about our Appalachian region. This is also, I truly believe, their moment in history. We need to be part of it by reigniting the pioneer spirit of the Ohioans who built this state. We can do that. One of the most important things we can do that will benefit not only the 32 counties in the Appalachian region, but also our entire state, is to make a long overdue comprehensive investment in Appalachia. And so to the members of the General Assembly, I will work with you, intend to work with you and local leaders in Appalachia to create an investment program to revitalize and rebuild the economies and the main streets of the area where Ohio began. We have an historic opportunity to dedicate resources to an area of our state that is ready to move and ready to flourish. In the coming days and weeks, I will work together with you and community leaders to help the region plan and implement improvements that reflect the vision of local communities, investing in such things as downtown redevelopment, further expansion of broadband coverage, workforce development, student wellness in schools, and fighting the ongoing battle against addiction. Our citizens in Appalachia are strong. They have a great and proud history. Generations have built a life there, planting roots deep in the soil along the Ohio River. And this is now Appalachia's time. Ohio, a great state, but there remains gaps in access to opportunity for too many of our children in our cities, in our suburbs, in our rural areas. My friends, we have a moral obligation to do everything in our power to remove these barriers and to help them succeed. Every child needs a responsible, reliable adult in their lives, and for most kids, that's members of their family, their parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles. But we also know that tragically there are some children in Ohio, and they're all over Ohio, different regions, who don't have that, or at least don't have it consistently. All children need mentors, someone they can look up to, someone they can count on, someone who can help them in school, keep them out of trouble, away from the dangers of drugs and alcohol, someone who can teach them life skills and help them deal with the challenges of growing up and the added burdens of living in difficult, chaotic, stressful, complex situations. Members of the General Assembly, we have the ability to transform the lives of so many kids who, for whatever reason, don't have someone in their young lives who can be that role model. In the coming days, I intend to work with you and with community leaders and with our colleges and universities to create a combined scholarship and mentorship program that can be replicated all over Ohio so that no child in the state lacks the guidance and direction that they need. And so they can also have financial support to continue their education, to become career ready, whether by earning a credential, a certificate, or a degree. I will need your help, but I will also need your ideas. There's so many strong advocates in this chamber that look around for children. And we also have great examples already of programs in Ohio, such as I Know I Can in Columbus, Say Yes Cleveland, and many, many more. We need to do this because, frankly, it's the right thing to do for these kids. And it's the right thing to do for all of us. And just as I said regarding those with behavioral health challenges, our state's economy, our state, will not fully flourish if we leave these kids behind. We can't leave them behind. There is so much untapped potential there, potential that we need, we can't afford to waste. Now let me talk about another area that I've cared about my whole life, and I know you care about it as well, and that is highway safety. Whether driving under the influence of alcohol, marijuana, or other drugs, or driving while texting, driving too fast, too many Ohio lives, too many Ohio family members are still being lost on our highways. In fact, last year, fatalities on our roads in Ohio were at their highest level since 2002. And we all know, everybody knows, because we drive and we see things, that driving, distracted driving, is a key factor behind so many of these crashes. There were nearly 12,000 distracted driving-related crashes reported last year in Ohio, causing more than 300 injuries, serious injuries, and at least 43 deaths. And 39% of these crashes involve drivers who are 15 to 24. So we must do more. Ohioans, I believe, want us to do this. A 2021 survey of Ohio drivers found that 78% of respondents support legislation to toughen our laws on distracted driving. Representative Abrams, Lampton have a bill, House Bill 283, pending before you now, that if passed, will significantly help decrease distracted driving tragedies. 24 other states have implemented similar legislation. And in those states, they have seen significant reductions in serious and fatal accidents. My friends, lives are at stake. Please pass this bill. Let me now turn to our friends in law enforcement. Our current generation of law enforcement officers are the most educated, best trained, and most technologically savvy individuals to ever work in the profession. Yet state funding for ongoing training has been haphazard at best. Some year, the state funds police training. Most years, we don't. Professional development training, year after year, is something that every single police officer I've ever talked to wants. And it also directly benefits the public. In your wisdom, last year, in your budget, you created a commission to study this problem. This commission was chaired by Senator Hoagland and had representatives from law enforcement, the community, the Attorney General's office, and also included Representative Richardson, West, and Abrams, and Senators O'Brien and Thomas. I'm asking you today, please simply adopt the recommendations of the commission that you created. These recommendations will create a permanent funding source for ongoing training. Now, in addition to properly funding law enforcement training, we also must do a better job of treating and viewing our deputies, our officers, troopers, like we do other professionals in this state. Representative Abrams and Plummer have been working on legislation that would help standardize oversight of our law enforcement professionals, increase transparency within the system, and require independent investigation of officer-involved critical incidents. I support this bill, and I look forward to signing it into law. Finally, we must work hard to support our officers and deputies by giving them the resources to go after violent criminals. I want to talk about this for a moment. We know that just a small number of dangerous offenders are in fact causing the vast majority of violence in our communities across Ohio. Recently, we all allocated $250 million to address, in part, violent crime in our communities. But we also know that money alone is not enough. We must also strengthen our laws to deal with violent offenders who have lost their legal right to possess a firearm but still carry and use weapons to commit violent crime. Now, it's a small group of the criminal element, but we must target them and we must remove them from society. Now, there is a bill pending before you that achieves this goal by increasing penalties on these dangerous felons. Chiefs, deputies, prosecutors, frontline patrol officers have asked us to support this legislation, as it will help them deal with the most violent offenders in their communities. My friends, we need to get tough on the convicted violent offenders who carry and use weapons in violation of the law. If we can remove this small group of dangerous offenders from our streets, the violent crime in our neighborhoods will be reduced dramatically. And most importantly, the citizens and the families who live there will be safer and lives will be saved. I saved the best for last. I'm pleased now to introduce my bride of almost 55 years, First Lady of Ohio, Fran DeWine. Yeah. Frances is and always has been an amazing champion for kids. At the start of our administration, she partnered with the Dolly Parton Imagination Library to create the Ohio Governor's Imagination Library. I want to thank you all for providing the funds. These funds that you provided are being matched 50-50 by each local community. And what they do is provide a book each month to Ohio children ages 0 to 5. When we started, only 13% of Ohio eligible kids were receiving these books. Now that number has risen to 43%. So far, over 6.9 million books have been mailed to children in all 88 counties. This month, we're up to nearly 313,000 children who will receive an age-appropriate book in the mail at no cost to that family. We know that a child's brain is 80% developed by the time they turn 3 years of age. So these first years of development are so very important. Enrollment in the Imagination Library improves kindergarten readiness and family literacy habits. And no matter where you live in Ohio, your child, your grandchild is now eligible. So it's a great program. Thank you for investing in it. My friends, spring is here, and everything is possible in the springtime. You've heard me talk in the past about my grandfather who, well into his later years, continued to plant trees, knowing he likely would not live to see them fully grown. He did it nonetheless because he had faith. He had faith in the future, and he wanted those trees to be there for his grandchildren, his great-grandchildren. At the conclusion of this address, I invite everyone here to join the First Lady and me on the South Plaza across from the Ohio Theater as we plant a dogwood tree on the Statehouse grounds. Dogwood tree, native to Ohio, represents renewal and rebirth. We plant this tree today as a symbol of our shared faith in Ohio's future and as a recommitment to investing in things that may not have results today, but that will transform tomorrow. The sun is coming up in Ohio. The wind is at our back, and together we have the power to change the course of Ohio's history. We have opportunities before us that come once in a lifetime, so we must seize them. Ohio, this is our moment. Perhaps our fellow Ohioan, who you may have heard of, Joe Burrow, said it best after the Bengals advanced to the AFC Championship game when he said, and I quote, "We're a really, really good team. We're here to make noise, and teams are going to have to pay attention to us because we are coming for it all." Well, my fellow Ohioans, so is the state of Ohio. Ohio is making some noise, and people are going to have to pay attention to us. And we are, in fact, coming for it all. Thank you very much. May God bless all of you. May God bless the people of the state of Ohio. Thank you very much.